Hello and welcome to the July update. So, those of you on my email list are used to getting this in written email form. And if you are not on my email list, every month I send out a very personal email that talks about the things that I have been working through or experiencing in the previous month. And then I also look ahead to anything that is going on in the business the following month. And my email list is really the space where the kind of exclusive early bird discounts, bonuses, things are most talked about. So if you're interested in knowing the ins and outs of what's really going on in my life and or would like access to what I'm offering in the business, get yourself on my email list. I will drop a link below. But this month, I really feel called to share the update in video form rather than written form, not least because there has been so much going on, and it feels much easier to just express it like this than to try and put it in writing. So, June was a huge month for me. Um, one of the things that I did that was absolutely incredible, I felt this need one day to book myself a massage, just a normal massage. And when I went to search for massages near me, I came across this woman who I hadn't seen before when I've been doing similar searches. And she did this incredible combination of massage, Reiki, energy healing, Lomi Lomi massage, sound healing. She was also, or she is also, a qualified physiotherapist. And when I reached out to her, she sent me a message back and I sort of said about what I did. And, I'm often spending my time giving to others. And a message back said, she said, it would be my pleasure to just, it was something like to just bathe you in love and to help you get what you need. Anyway, I had this session. We went for 2 hours. Actually, we went for 2.5 hours. I booked 2 hours. Um, because I really wanted I wanted the combination of all the things. I didn't want like 10 minutes of Reiki and 10 minutes of massage and 10 minutes of the other stuff. Um, and it was just incredible. And it really reminded me and solidified the experience we get when we are in spaces where we feel truly held and supported and loved by another person. Um, and I'm really just sharing this from the perspective of if you feel drawn to other kinds of body work or different things as part of your healing journey, go and experiment and have a play around. Like I've had quite a bit of Reiki in the past. I've done sound healing. But to have this combination, like she started off, she cleansed me with Palo Santo. She cleansed me with a sound bowl. Throughout the massage, she was doing light language. Um, and the whole experience was just insane, incredible, out of this world. And it also then really opened up quite a lot of stuff in me. Because we do suppress things in the body. We store our emotions, we store the things that we aren't looking at. Um, so it did open up quite a lot. And then a week, 10 days later, I had, or I did, a past life regression. So, a past life regression, you can do them in various different guises. This one was to take me to a place of deep hypnosis. Um, and I asked particular questions about things I was curious about, like what had come through in past lives, or and like how is it impacting me now. And the lady doing it said, like, if we can get you to a deep enough space, I'd also like to see if we can get in touch with like your spirit and your soul family to really sort of dive into why you're here. Like, why are you here? Why did you come back? What's your purpose? And that was, again, incredible. A lot came up. It was surprisingly emotional. I think in my mind, it was going to be like, oh, there's this past life and this is what happened. And then there's this past life and this is what happened. But it was much more healing. It was much more deep. And the physical sensations, like the actual emotions that I experienced in the process of tapping into some of that stuff was amazing. Now, I'm not going to say too much about that here because, first of all, the video is going to get super long. But second of all, that is going to be the next episode of the podcast. So the lady is coming on. I'm going to interview her. We're going to talk about lots and lots of different things because she is incredible. She works in the healing space. So we're going to talk about my experience during the past life regression, and we're also going to talk about her experience and some of her shifts and that realization for her of she thought she was here to help people with addiction, but actually what she's realized is she's here to help people access their joy. So very, very excited about that one. Keep an eye out. Um, but yeah, and the past life regression kind of, I was going to say it knocked me on my arse a bit. I don't think that's necessarily right. Um, there is something incredibly affirming about having that experience and realizing that you are so in line with your path, you are so in line with your mission, and that you are so doing what you came here to do. Um, and for me this time, it's about, well, how do I do all of that without the self-sacrifice? Because there was lots of self-sacrifice themes in the other lives. But then there is also this element of grieving and making sense of and integrating. And so when I do the podcast with the lady, um, there are some parts that I'm very happy to share openly, and there's other parts that we just won't be talking about, and I might never talk about them. And I think that's also really, really important. Like I want to be here open as a vessel, kind of sharing with others. And at the same time, there always gets to be stuff that's just yours. And I want to mention that because sometimes people say, "Oh, I'd love to do what you do, but I could never share as much as you." And it's just remembering that you share as much as feels good, and some things are always just for you. So yeah, so massage, Reiki, energy healing. Then I did the past life regression. I think that was on the 17th of June. Then on the 22nd of June, we had our 13th wedding anniversary. Um, and interestingly, I think a little bit on the back of the past life regression, we had some pretty big conversations around, well, how are we going to interact? Like, what does the next 13 years of our marriage look like? What are the roles that we want to play? And where do both of us, this isn't like Nat doesn't do this, right? Where do both of us feel unsupported by the other? And what is it that we can do to redress that balance so that we continue to grow and develop and get stronger and stronger and stronger? Because Nat has changed an awful lot in this. So we've been married 13 years, but together 17 and a half. He's changed an awful lot, but he hasn't gone from A-type control freak tax lawyer to, I was going to say head in the clouds, spiritual, whatever. Like I'm not particularly head in the clouds. I'm still pretty grounded. But, you know, me 10 years ago, me versus me now, like they're two very, very different people. And so if you're going to sustain and maintain a relationship through those kinds of changes, you both have to be open to having pretty uncomfortable conversations, actually, and feeling that pain and expressing how you feel and talking through it all, whilst also being able to take that step back and be like, yeah, I can see how I've played that. I can see how I've played my part in this. And I can see how maybe some of my childhood wounding is still coming up, or maybe how some of his childhood wounding is still coming up. Um, so the actual wedding anniversary itself was a little bit of a challenging day in terms of like the conversations being had. But then by the end of it, we're there back closer together. And sharing that because I think sometimes, particularly when we're in relationships, we avoid having the quote unquote hard conversations because we are fearful that that is going to result in an ending of the relationship, that it's going to damage the relationship in some way. But if you can both go into it in a relatively open and curious way, recognizing also that you will naturally get triggered, so you might become a bit dysregulated and then can you come back to yourself? This is how relationships grow and deepen and evolve and last. So just something for you to think about because I know a lot of the time people are not honest with their life partners. And I'm not saying that that's good, bad, or indifferent, but you might try on being more honest and see where it gets you. And then the final thing on my personal updates list is for years now, with literally no rhyme or reason, I keep having this little message in my mind of, you need to go to Bali. You need to go to Bali. You need to go to Bali. And I like the idea. I don't like the idea of the length of the flight. I don't really know a lot about Bali. Um, but the more I try and honor this whole approach to life of follow the nudges and follow where life leads you, the more I'm aware that this calling is getting stronger and stronger and stronger of like, you need to go to Bali. You need to go to Bali. So the long and short of that one is that I'm going to Bali on my own. So Nat will be looking after Sydney here on my own for 3 weeks in September. And I cannot wait. It's not one of those trips where I want to have everything like scheduled and itineraried to buggery. Um, I've booked my flights, I've booked some accommodation. I've been put in touch with someone who can help with driving me around and making suggestions. But other than being picked up from the airport to be taken to the villa and picked up from the villa to be taken to the airport at the end of the trip, as things stand, there is nothing booked in. So the October update, I'm sure we'll have lots and lots and podcasts and things. We'll have lots and lots of what comes through from that. But again, this is just an invitation for you, I guess, around, well, what's the stuff that you keep being drawn towards and keep being pulled towards that you keep putting off for whatever reason? So for me, it's like, well, it's a long time to be away from that, and he doesn't really like me to be away for that long. Um, it's a long time to be away from Sydney. It's a fucking long flight. I'm a bit scared. Like, I'm not sort of 18, ready to go off with a backpack and be like, yeah, we'll just see what happens. Like, I am a little bit more aware of my mortality. And it's like, okay, well, how do I keep myself safe? I don't want to be camping. I don't want to be staying in hostels. And so, actually, what I've done is I've booked a luxury 2 bedroom, 3 bathroom villa with a private pool in a beautiful area. Um, a little bit away from kind of towns and touristy spaces, but close enough to a quieter town and nice and close to the beach so I can still do things. And I will then let it unfold. And on the topic of following where life is leading me, there is a part of me that feels like this break needs to be just for me. But I have I keep having, it's very warm here today. I keep having these little nudges of, you've got a second bedroom, offer someone a retreat. And so I will just put it out there, if not for the whole 3 weeks, but if you are probably either relatively local to Bali, so, you know, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, um, or are in the area anyway, and would like to spend a couple of days with me in September, really deep, immersive healing, bringing out your purpose, bringing out your mission in a completely different environment, then drop me a message and let's have a chat. This one is going to be applications only because obviously I need to be careful about who I share my space with. But yeah, so if that is calling to you, let me know. So I know I sort of a little bit went into the work stuff there at the end of the personal stuff, but that's the personal stuff for June. And then on the work side of the fence, the first thing that I want to share with you is that in June, I created a brand new free training. So it's a 3-day training, 3-day mini course. The videos are, I think the first one's about 10 minutes, the second two are about 22 minutes long. So it's not epic, but it's a relatively detailed 3-day mini course to really walk you through reclaiming your rhythmic edge. What does it look like to live in line with your natural rhythm, with your cycles, with the seasons, with the moon? So there is some stuff in there that will speak to women with a menstrual cycle, but it is not just for women and it is not just for women who bleed. So I also talk about working with the moon and working with the seasons. And it's so important to me that I put this together because one of the things that I recognize for myself first, right, is how deeply, deeply disconnected we become from that natural place. our natural rhythm, our natural cycles in this modern day world that is constantly go, 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 and doesn't really pay attention to other stuff. And so this training is looking at how can you work with your natural rhythms for more visibility, more impact, more money, and more pleasure. So if that is calling to you, check it out. If you're watching this via my email list, everything is at the bottom in the signatures at the bottom, all the different offers. And if you are watching this elsewhere, I will stick a link to all of my various offers in the comments. So that's the first one, completely free, 3-day, free mini training, reclaim your rhythmic edge. Highly, highly recommend. Really, other than about 50 minutes of your life, what have you got to lose? The second update is around Time Alchemy. So we completely revamped the Time Alchemy membership and changed how it was running from the start of May. I am loving the changes. I am loving the community. I'm loving how the space feels. So it really is now a space for conscious leaders who are looking to maximize how they use their time, take amazing care of themselves, but also keep this level of forward momentum in terms of creating what they want whilst doing it in a way that works for them. We have a beautiful Telegram group. So we've come off Facebook. We now have a private community space in Telegram, which people who spend too much time on social media or don't like Facebook have told me is much, 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 much better. The portal has been completely upgraded to introduce many more, I suppose, spiritual or more Eastern tools. So there's more stuff in there around working with the dream, traditional Chinese medicine, quantum jumping, timelines, so more kind of quantum physicsy stuff as well. So this is now really a space where we combine the practical, all of the nervous system stuff that's always been there and always will be there, the strategic and the body-based stuff, but we're also bringing in more of the spiritual, more of the energetics, more of the stuff that keeps us in alignment. So it's much more of a holistic space. And what we do now is we have 2 live trainings every month. So one is more of like a workshop style training, and then we do something that is more along the lines of a visualization, an activation, a guided meditation, followed by Q&A. So there's always a space each month for any questions, anything that you need live. The workshop is allowing you to take themes or topics that you want to learn more about deeper. Members also get to have a say in what the topics are. And then the meditations and the activations and the visualizations are the parts that speak to the subconscious, to the energetic body, because 95% of our thoughts are from the subconscious. Only 5% of what goes on is in our conscious brain. And so what I'm doing with those shifts is really tapping into some of that 95%, because when we tap into more of what's available, we get to achieve more in a very different way. So our theme for July is money. So we will be diving into money, relationships with money, doing some powerful money clearings, so that not only are you taking care of yourself and managing your time and working with your nervous system, but you are also creating from a place that is attracting the money that you desire as well. So we've got 2 money calls coming up in July. Again, if you would like to know more about that program, if you're watching via my email list, in the signature, if you're watching anywhere else. Oh, actually, if you're watching on Instagram, you probably want to go link in my bio, but anywhere else, it will be in the comments. Next thing on the work front, so I'm recording this on the 30th of June. So Friday through Sunday just gone was the first ever Wealthy Witches retreat, which I hosted here. We have had a very, very warm, not as warm as it is today, but it was a very warm, gloriously sunny, perfection weather weekend. And it was just utterly magical, utterly magical. We did heart opening exercises and connecting into love. We explored their missions, we did nature walks, we did bits of Qigong, we did bits of lymph work, we talked about nutrition and they had like lots of nutritious foods. And really my goals were several fold. Their main aim was actually to just come and relax and be around like-minded people and enjoy the nature. They also wanted to get a little bit clearer on not only their mission, but feeling like really empowered, like I can do this and I can make money doing this. I also wanted them to leave with tools that they can use in their day to day to maintain that sense of relaxation and that sense of openness all of the time, not just when they're on retreat. Because it was incredible what happened when they both slowed down and they stopped and they connected to nature and they had a little bit of a break from their normal day to day lives. So much clarity dropped in for them around what it is that they're here to do and what they want to do next. And it's very, very easy in everyday life to just constantly be go, 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 and think the only way you achieve or the only way you're going to figure something out is to sit there and think about it or force it or push. But actually, what happens is when we pause, when we take a step back, when we change our environments, when we give ourselves that space to receive the guidance, it happens much more naturally. It's my only goal literally every day. Slow down, connect into the guidance, take the aligned action on the back of the guidance. Which is why this is a video and not a long ass email. Um, so that was incredible. It was incredible. I will share feedback and things once that comes through. But it just so reinforced, number one, the power of community. So these ladies have been in the space together for 12 weeks. So we had the retreat. We've got 6 more weeks at the end of this. The power of community, the power of being around like-minded others. Like it's so easy for us to think that we don't belong and we don't fit in, but then put yourself in a space where that's not the case, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, like maybe I'm all right, maybe I do fit in, maybe I do belong, and that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Um, and also the power of coming into a space with this common purpose of like, I know I'm here for more. I know there's more to life than what I'm doing right now. I know I have this big mission, this big purpose. Like I feel my intuitive gifts, I feel my psychic gifts. I know I'm here to lead. And then putting yourself in a space that fosters and allows all of you to come through and feel safe to be seen so that you can step into that space is truly, truly incredible. So I am super proud of myself. I'd like to thank myself. I'm super proud of myself for putting it together and for feeling brave enough to put Wealthy Witches out into the world. Um, cannot wait to see what the next 6 weeks in the mastermind bring for these ladies. And want to let you know that the next round of Wealthy Witches is now open for enrollment. So we are going to kick off with an introduction call towards the end of August, so 27th of August probably, or somewhere in that week. That is just so people can sort of introduce themselves, set the scene. So when we start properly, it doesn't feel like you're coming into a room of strangers. And we'll also use that call to look at what people need to feel safe and how the container is going to work. And then we will officially kick off on the 3rd of September. And this round is going to run for 16 weeks through to the 17th of August or another day during that week. Like the call time and day isn't completely set in stone right now. Because I will tailor it to the time zones and availability of the people that drop in. And yes, so that is now open for enrollment. So obviously we're not starting for a couple of months. However, if you join before the end of July, you will receive a bonus 90-minute one-on-one session with me. You also get 4 monthly 60-minute one-on-ones with me throughout the mastermind, but you'll receive a bonus 90-minute with me. You also get access to the portal as soon as you join. That applies whenever you join, but the earlier you join, the longer you get to look in the portal. And you will also get access to one-on-one support with me in Telegram, so one-on-one messenger support with me as soon as you join. So again, the sooner you join, the more support that you get. So if you were to join now, we could do the 90-minute one-on-one, get clear on your mission. You've got all the portal stuff to dive into. Then you've got me on demand in your pocket via Telegram before we kick off as a group for 16 weeks of calls at the start of September. And the other bonus is if you join before the end of July and choose to pay in full, there is no extra investment for the retreat. So normally the retreat is a £2,000 investment on top of the mastermind price. But if you join and pay in full before the end of July, you will get the retreat included in the mastermind price. So that is the update. I don't know how long this has gone on for, quite a while. So that is what's going on for me personally. Let's see what shifts come through in July. I think as a collective, we are definitely experiencing a lot of upgrades, a lot of energetic shifts right now. I think it will be very interesting to see globally what shifts, what transforms. As I said before, it's very warm here right now. There's an awful lot of activity going on with the sun. We've had a supernova this week, so we're also getting an awful lot of light codes, plasma, solar stuff coming through from the cosmos, which I think impacts us. You don't need to think the same, but I think it does. So it'll be interesting to see what July brings. So from on the work front, got the 3 free-day rhythmic edge training. Highly recommend you all do that. The time alchemy theme for July is money. So if you're in a space of, oh, actually, I'd really like to dive into money a little bit more, then dive into time alchemy, especially if you're also thinking about, oh, I might like to do wealthy witches, but I'm not sure I'm quite ready, or I've got some money issues, or come into time alchemy for a little bit. See how that feels. So time alchemy is a flexible monthly membership, so you just join and stay for as long as it feels good. You aren't tied in. Wealthy Witches 2.0. So the second round of Wealthy Witches will start with the induction and intros call on the 27th of August before we kick off officially on the 3rd of September. Yes, I will be in Bali for 3 weeks of Wealthy Witches calls, which means that you get the magic of all of the energy and all of the breakthroughs that I'm having over there and that relaxation. As we kick off, which I think is going to be so potent, so powerful, so incredible. Early bird available until the end of July. If you have any questions at all about the mastermind, you aren't sure about it, come and speak to me. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Men and women both welcome. If that space is calling to you, then you can trust that it is for you. I appreciate it's obviously not for everyone. This is for people who have already done quite a lot of work. They've done maybe some nervous system healing. They've worked through a lot, and now they're in this space where like, I am being called. I am being called to have more impact, to step into this next level of visibility, to do what I really came here to do. And I'd love someone to support me through this process and to work through the things that maybe don't feel that comfortable right now in me taking up space in that kind of way. So if that is you, come and say hi. If that is not you yet, maybe check out Time Alchemy. And if the idea of spending a couple of days with me in Bali for some deep, powerful, transformative healing work appeals, either email me or drop me a message, however you are seeing this, and we can have a chat about whether that might be the right space for you. So I am going to love you and leave you. I don't know if I will continue the theme of videos in the future or if I will go back to email, but if you enjoyed the video, I would love you to let me know. And I will see you soon. Ciao and have a fantastic July.